wakes or slow wakes. But they weren't in the channel where that was the case. Because if it was, you're not allowed to go that way. You can't water ski there. You can't do anything.
I was there around 1:45.
That's right. That's true.
Oh, so you just missed it.
Going to the phone, and I said, my God, look at all those
I know we sent it to your brother, we sent it to everyone, brother, but our block party is...
I finally got an invite.
Oh, you got the invite,
the amount
good.
of alcohol that must be consumed.
What's your email?
A Christian Chavez
Okay, all one word.
at Miami Beach ML.gov.
No, that's fine. But no, we're ridiculous.
I'll send you the official one.
So it is,
I want to let you know about it.
Judge.
May 15th.
Okay,
he's
about the
got-
order session. It is now 6:05 p.m. Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, and this is an agenda. This is a Charter Review Board organizational meeting, and meeting now called to order. Rise to pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Thank you.
Yes, item 2, roll call. Mayor Eric Diaz-Padrón.
Here.
Vice Mayor Natalie Milian Orbis.
Here.
Commissioner Juan Blanes.
Present.
Commissioner Ivan Chavez Jr.
Here.
Commissioner Luciano Suarez.
Here.
Member Christian Chavez.
Here.
Member Daisy Gomez.
Here.
Member Maritza Haro Salgado.
Here.
Member Scott Janowitz.
Here.
Member Martin Torres.
Here.
Mayor, you have 4.
Thank you. Item 3, please.
Yes, item 3, swearing in of Charter Review Board members, and oath will be administered by the city clerk. So all members, please rise. I'm gonna read the oath, and you're gonna repeat after me. Your names respectively. So I, your name.
I, Christian Chavez,
Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States of America
and will obey the laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I will in all respects
and will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of the city of West Miami,
and the ordinance of the city of West Miami,
and will faithfully discharge
will faithfully discharge
the duties
the duties
of the office of Charter Review Board member
of the office of Charter Review Board member
of the city of West Miami.
of the city of West Miami.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we're gonna sign after the meeting.
And now you guys are all locked in. You guys took the oath, and now you guys don't even know yet. No, we'll keep these short, and we won't have too many of these meetings. Well, let me just, let's stick to the agenda. So, item 4,
Public comments?
any public comments?
None, Mr. Mayor.
Seeing none, next item.
Item 5, new business. Item 5A, opening remarks by the mayor.
Okay, now it's my turn. So, I had put on the agenda to call this meeting in particular, this agenda review, is a special charter review board to look specifically at the election section of our charter. It's something that we've avoided in past charter reviews, and I want to take the opportunity that we have an election, general election coming up, to put it on the ballot if that's the will of the board. So one of the things that is lacking in our charter, if you look at charters of other cities and how they've been modernized over time, is the section on how commissioners are elected, right? So in our city today, for those of you who don't know, and you'll have the chance to obviously read it, you have the charter here afterwards. The way it works for commissioners is the commissioners all run on one ballot and the mayor runs separately, right? So, for example, let's give an example of this race that would have happened had there been opposition. Vice Mayor Milian Orbis and Commissioner Ivan Chavez Jr. would have been on the same ballot with other opponents, and then because there was 2 seats available, residents had to choose 2 people on that ballot, right? And then it creates this whole scoring. Now, sometimes there's times where there's 3 people on the ballot because there's 2 seats for a 4-year term and 1 seat for a 2-year term. And it becomes a very confusing mess for a lot of residents who have not dealt with this in a long time, because it's an outdated form of how to do elections in cities. Coral Gables used to do it like this maybe 30 years ago. And it's just, I fear that with there not having been commission elections in a long time, people who had gotten a little bit used to doing it will be very confused by that prospect, right? Now, our city is not one, in my opinion, that I think it would be rather ridiculous to make districts, because you'd be putting districts on like almost individual like 4 streets. That would be absurd. So what I'm proposing is that we look at, and as the first thing to look at in this section is groups, right? Similar to how they do it in Coral Gables and our neighbors and some other cities. No districts, all the seats are at large, just how they are now. The only difference is instead of running on the same ballot, commissioners will run in their group, right? It solves a lot of confusion, it solves a lot of internal problems. I think the clerk can probably attest to the internal problems that will be solved by that, with how to rotate appointments and a bunch of other, and even budgetary things that just don't make sense when you don't have somebody tied to a seat. So that's what I'd like to start looking at. There is one other thing that if we do choose to move forward on that would get affected in the charter, and that's the selection of vice mayor. Currently, the way the vice mayor is selected is whoever, because they all run the same ballot, whoever is the highest vote getter becomes vice mayor, right? And that's great, except when there's no election, you have to simulate that, right? So you have to do a coin flip or another ad lot, to select vice mayor. So that's not necessarily a problem, but because if you were to move in that direction of groups, the commissioners would not run the same ballot anymore, and by doing that, you no longer have an election between 2 members, right, to judge. So you would have to move to a situation where the commission either elects a vice mayor or the mayor appoints, and that's up for discussion. I really don't have an opinion either way on what's best, but I just want to kick that off. I'd like to get the ball rolling on that first proposal. If people are in agreement, we'll talk about it now. And if there's further proposals on the election section, you guys will have time to take the charter home, look at it, see if there's anything else that you want to bring forward for the next meeting, and we can discuss at that point when you've had a chance to review. But with that, I'll open the floor, and I guess let's stick to the agenda. So let's just run through these A and B, and then we'll have to see, open the floor to the board. Madam Clerk,
Yes,
B?
under new business, item D, discussion in reference to ballot issues deadline, and in contact with the elections department, the deadline to submit any consideration for charter amendments have to be submitted to the elections department no later than Friday, July 26th of 2024. So we must have already by July 26th a resolution adopted, the ballot,
That's fine. We'll do that time there. And then schedule a charter BBD. We'll deal with BB after this meeting.
yes, and item C, consideration of possible amendments to the charter.
Okay. So now it's just open floor time. Anyone wants to talk? Anyone wants to kick off? Talk regarding the amendment I just proposed or anything else? Go ahead. Recognize.
I think that makes sense. I think it also provides clarity for the residents as to like who is actually running for that specific seat. Whereas now, like you said, it's really just a majority, and if there's, obviously we haven't had a lot of turnout or opposition recently, but in a scenario where there's 5 people running, it just creates, I don't know, more difficult environment, I would say, politically. So I agree with that.
Anyone else on the topic, or I guess let's stick to this topic because you opened up that topic now already. So is anyone else on that on my proposal?
What section?
It's going to be let's look at the section if we could. It's going to be 302, 303.
It's page 6 of the packet.
So you see it's titled Elections, Separate Groups, Office and Terms. Separate groups is referring to mayor and commission, not between commissioners.
Procedure?
303, you said?
It's 303, it's page 6.
Page 6.
It's page 320 or page 6 on the bottom. Right?
It's page 6 on the bottom right. So it's page
303.
3, group
Yeah.
6 on the bottom right. It's Article 3, Legislative,
U.S.
Section 303.
Exactly.
too many page numbers. Contradicting. So the relevant section would be A and B. And it would impact section C as well because of the vice mayor.
And possibly D.
I can read through it. Anyone else wants to? Sorry?
And possibly D.
And possibly D.
Yeah. Just about lot.
Correct, yeah. Anywhere where it says by lot for the vice mayor would be,
Well, I mean, I'm definitely in favor of it. I mean, I've been looking at some of the other smaller cities' charters and ordinances had in the past anyways. And there has been a definite move towards the style of groups or seats. And so I grew up in Pinecrest, and we went that way actually when we were founded in '96 to go that way. And it makes complete sense. I mean, for both good and probably bad reasons in terms of the direction of our city and the way people think. I mean, but it's the idea that you know, people want to be in public service. I think it's a great thing, but you know, you need to articulate reasons. And when you just throw your name out there, you may be saying, well, it's because I want this person to be still on it, and that may not happen because of an election. And really, it makes sense to, and it doesn't relate to this commission, but you know, in the future there may be a particular person that someone's like, I would be a better commissioner than that person, and should have to make that election. And I think it makes sense that way. It does provide a lot of clarity and positions, and it would also help with even elections just in terms of if you know, there's only one race that's contested, instead of having 5 or 6 people running at one time, you know, running one time, it would be, okay, maybe there's 2 or 3 races, and then people would have a very clear vision on what's required as well as everything else. I do believe also strongly, though, that in terms of the second thing you had brought up, that a vice mayor should be determined by the commission once they're into office for that term, and let the commission decide on the vice mayor, as it's done in several jurisdictions.
yeah, it goes either way. And again, like I said, I really don't have an opinion on it. You know, so if there's strong opinions on it one way, I'm tempted to go that way. But you know, it's done, I would say, not without doing a survey, it's probably done equally both ways, and neither way is wrong in any respect. So, so you know, I'm just curious to hear everyone's thoughts on that. Vice Mayor, do you have anything on this?
No, I agree. I think we talked about that, and it kind of looks like 2 people are running against each other when they're usually not. So to the voter, it may seem like I have to choose between these 2 candidates who are already on the commission, and I don't want to. So I think that kind of sorts out that issue. Because you say if you have one group, second group, I can select both, and it takes away that confusion. I think it makes it more clear, yeah, for future races.
Yeah, and as Scott mentioned as well, there might be a candidate outside this commission, just talking generally, there might be a candidate that the residents really like and they want to continue to support that candidate, but the current format that we have pulls that candidate into a race now, and that candidate can no longer focus their attention solely on bettering the community and being out there in the benefit of the community. They're out there focusing on campaigning when nobody wants that candidate's seat. So it kind of just pulls everyone into the same race, and now this allows individuals to say, like Scott says, I can be better than this candidate or this commissioner. So.
Anyone from the non-commission or anyone else on my commission? Anyone else at all want to talk on this? Well, does anyone have any concerns or disagreements with it? I guess that's open. You know, feel free to speak your mind here. And if not, then we start tackling the second part of it, the vice mayor part of it. Just maybe we can figure out this portion of it. Whenever you do these charters, for those of you who haven't been on our charter review committee before, the most complicated part of the process is oftentimes not getting to the proposal, but getting the ballot language accomplished and the amount of words and specificity that they require. They have 75 words and it has to be specific, and so oftentimes the larger debate, the larger debate is on the ballot language itself instead of the proposal. So that's why we try to get the proposals as vetted out as possible early on, because you have a deadline and that second part tends to take a little bit more time. But if possible, I'd like to, on this meeting already, have a kind of consensus or near consensus thought of how we're going to attack that proposal, so we can start working the ballot language, and then next meeting we will review if there's any other concerns with the section, we can, or any other proposals we want to have, we can discuss those, and without having to go backwards and take a bunch of them at the same time. So if we can, let's move on to the vice mayor section of it. So
If I can, just for
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
not even playing devil advocate with my own thought, but just what to be for completeness of things, because you asked about if there's any negative or anything else.
Yeah.
One thing I definitely don't know is, obviously, I know we have to pay, as a city, we have to pay the elections department to put stuff on the ballot.
Right.
Is that a fixed cost, or is that dependent on how many items we have on it? Because clearly, one item of here's all the commissioners would be one question, as opposed to possibly 4 or 5.
What is the, remember this is going on the idea is for meet the deadline and go on to the November general election ballot. What would be the answer to that question?
Okay, depending the wording, it requires translation, so the more the questions, the more, because usually an election on our own is about $20,000.
Right, but it's
Piggybacking
not,
in
right.
is less. Obviously, I would say a cap of like $10,000.
Do you think even that much?
No,
Because we're-
I think it's
Yeah.
much less than
It
that.
has to be
but
much less.
It's been a long time since we don't have an election, so.
We'll get the exact amounts for
Yes.
next meeting, but I would say,
I don't think that was the question.
That wasn't quite my question, but
you're saying is there more, is
Just
there?
separate the two
going
seats.
forward, if we were to pass this
Yeah.
and everything else.
No, there's no extra cost for that.
Okay, in
No,
terms of.
he's saying if you had, when we host our own elections,
Uh-huh.
right, is there any extra cost for putting more questions on the ballot?
On our own elections, we incur in certain costs more because, as I said, it requires processing by the elections department, translation, ballot publication on the Miami Herald. It increases the cost, the more the questions.
But marginally, right?
No.
That's not negligible. I mean, like, the real cost of putting our own elections together is having to pay for the election staff to come and take our facility and lock it down and put everything and run this whole election.
Which is fixed anyways. I'm just talking
Right,
about
that's
like.
fixed. No, it's
Like
negligible.
the
It's
group
negligible. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
versus
Right.
resident versus-
Yeah, and
That
just for
cost
devil's
is not a
advocate.
big deal.
Yeah,
That cost is not a big
we'll bring the number just to have it open.
The
But
deal
it's
is to put
it's
in the
negligible.
75 words, you know what we need.
Oh, that I
That's
know.
the deal.
Yeah,
The money is not a problem because this is cheap, this is not.
Yeah, that part is not an issue when we're putting in our own, typically. Do you want to, does anyone want to continue on any other concerns, or do you want to move in the vice mayor section? Or Commissioner, you have,
No, I'll just speak on the vice mayor section,
Go ahead.
if we're ready for that. So, just a little context, like the vice mayor and I, this last election, we ran unopposed, and we both got elected, right? So then D, you mentioned D on page 7, where it says the vice mayor is determined by lot. Lot can be drawing straws, flipping coin, whatever it may be. So in this situation, we were fortunate enough that vice mayor won the coin flip. She became vice mayor, and she's perfectly suitable for that position. She's doing a great job. But looking into the future, it wouldn't be fair necessarily for somebody that's newly elected, that doesn't necessarily have experience, say they want to just be involved in the community, give back, and they get elected commissioner, and they end up winning. They drew a lot, they won a coin flip, and become vice mayor. It wouldn't necessarily be putting them in the best position to succeed if the mayor were to step aside or.
no, and just interrupt you because I want to say what Scott was saying. I don't think Scott was saying that we should do it by lot.
No, I was just explaining what by lot
Oh,
meant,
okay,
the
okay,
current,
okay.
the current system that we have now. So that's why I'm in favor of whichever we decide on, whether the mayor selects or the commission selects. Scott also said he was in favor as well. It's just thinking ahead to the future, not necessarily for this commission, because I think everyone is very suitable. I think both of you have been vice mayor at one point or another. The mayor obviously was as well. So just looking forward, we want to give people the best chance of success when they get on this commission. And I think for the betterment of the community, that this is the route that we have to
Yeah,
go.
and just to piggyback on the vice mayor in West Miami is given more authority than they do in a lot of other cities. Because in some cities, like let's say Coral Gables, for example, if the mayor vacates a seat, the vice mayor does not go up to be mayor automatically, right? It's up by a selection of the commission. In West Miami, when their mayor vacates, the vice mayor does automatically become mayor, right? So it does have a little bit more teeth than in the other communities. So obviously, in either direction, if we were to change the section, it's helpful. I remember just the last time that I had to go by lot, there was 3 seats. Like I said, there was no groups or any of this stuff to determine all this. So there was 3 seats, and 2 of them were 4-year terms. One of them was vice mayor, one of them was a 2-year term. And how do you pick lots for 3? And us 3 were involved in that. And it was picking mugs. I mean, it's just utterly ridiculous, right? Like it's absurd. So that's why I'm so passionate about this section. The 3 of us were here selecting mugs like idiots here. So
What does that mean? Picking mugs?
well, how would you determine when you have to rank 3 people and they do it by lot? You can't do it by coin flip, right? It can be battle of coin flips.
Yeah.
So how would you do it? Short stick? That's subject to a lot of variability. Somebody can say something.
I think she just wasn't familiar with the term
I
mugs.
don't-
Numbers out of a hat. It's
Okay,
same.
Yeah,
that's
numbers
what
out of a hat.
okay.
But
Got it.
nobody wants to be
That makes
nobody
sense.
wants to be in the city wants to be the person who pulls out of a hat, right? Because they don't want to be one blamed
Yeah.
or accused of anything, right?
Yeah.
So the way that it was decided, and I don't blame the way that it was decided. It just the way it was decided was they put 3 mugs on a table. Inside the mugs, you remember this? Inside the mugs, they had
Sure.
a vice mayor, 4-year, 2-year, and they scrambled them up. They had someone scramble them up, and it came up alphabetically to pick them. I mean, it was actually you weren't involved in that. It was the late Commissioner Blanca who was involved in that. But
I want to make a comment, because really, he was not running against her.
no,
They were running because in this city,
right.
this is a small city, please. This is small, there's no problem. You have to make a,
It's better.
you have to,
Some would argue.
Scott, you have to put the money the commissioner there making, compare with the commissioner. Then you will see people trying to get that money. Here is no money problem. We didn't make $100 a month, that's only it. Because they were running, because they just wanted running for the commissioner. Now, normally, the most popular guy, or lady, or guy, or man or woman, the most popular, whoever is have more votes, is vice mayor. If there's no more vote each other, it's a lot. Your father, you remember? And my daughter, they were tied. Well, they used a lot.
Well,
And I remember-
that's why we might still have to, and this is a good point, Commissioner. We might still have to consider this, right? We might still have to keep by lot language in the charter, right? Because he brings up a good point. His daughter and my father back in the 90s.
20 years ago.
They tied an election, like an actual election. They tied it, and they're on the same ballot. They're both going to be seating in office. They're both going to win because they're both at the top. They both won at the top, but they needed to go by lot in order to determine who was going to be vice mayor and who wasn't. The same situation. That particular situation can't happen when we move to the postal, but 2 people running the same group, right? If they tie, right? How do you settle that? We're not going to have a runoff. This city is not.
It's too small.
This 2 cities too small to have a runoff.
It's the same on the post case that Candida Blanca and me. You did it too. You was on the post with somebody that used a lot.
Right.
That's the way this city has been running.
a couple of
I mean,
Probably a lot of times.
we have 5,000.
Too many times. There's been too many
I
conflicts.
mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, this is not what you're talking about Coral Gables. And I like to see this gentleman trying to get
So confused now.
the change here to make the change. with the salary, what they. what
Oh,
they-
I'd like it too. but
You
I'm
want to
going
do
that
it?
direction. I don't think we're going that direction.
No, I was
I
gonna say,
mean,
I think you have to keep
This
a lot
is the
like,
city, that's it, the money, no, it's not, we do not run for money. We have been running for service, that's it, normally.
Correct.
And when it's a lot, your father don't need for money,
The $100
it's for
is a lot.
service. And most of the time has been that way,
Absolutely, absolutely.
so it's not, that's all the difference.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, though, as a commissioner review, we can't write language
You
about the
don't worry
salary.
about that, you don't worry about that.
But,
It's not a money problem.
but every election code that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
it has as a backup, an ultimate backup, a lot provision in it. I mean, they almost had to do that in California just this past primary
Mhm.
because of the same situation. So I think you have to keep it in there enough to see if there's a two-person race on a group and they end up tied.
Right.
A runoff isn't even appropriate because it is what
Now,
it is.
I'm
So,
talking about what has been done.
yeah.
There is a, but if you propose a change for something, we will see what is you propose, and we analyze it, we make an analysis of the point, you see the new
Yeah,
point?
that's what we're doing right now.
But,
No, I got clarity after he spoke.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Foggy.
I had one question though, and it was something I meant to ask going into this. For this, are we proposing separate ballot items for each one, or is this kind of similar to, and city attorney will be able to, explain it for me, like with the Florida Constitutional Committee where they put in a whole bunch and then voters had to take it sort of take it all or nothing? Or are we proposing individual items that will go up or down?
Writing 75 words is very, very difficult.
I'm sorry, are you talking about the charter part, or?
Yes.
Oh, no,
Overall, for our committee,
no,
what are
no,
we?
it's individual. I'm saying, what's individual is, if we choose to only move forward with this proposal, right, there'd be one question, obviously, right? If we choose to move forward with three proposals, there are three different ballot items. They're not gonna be, like they chose to do it, like you said, the Constitutional Commission, where it was clean air, oil drilling, and something, and it was all related in clean, with cleanliness. That was the subject matter. They would be separate. It wouldn't be just one election topic and you have to eat everything. It would be separate. If you were a voter and you dislike going to groups, and I can't even think of another proposal, but you like that proposal, you can vote them separately. I in particular, I mean, again, we can choose to go that way, but I don't see why we would make voters eat an entire, group of issues, right? That being said, are you concerned about how the vice mayor thing or the lot thing would interact with? Because I think that should be eaten together.
Well, I was wondering, first of all, as an overall premise, and then secondly, what got me thinking about it was the idea that we're talking about these two interrelated topics.
My opinion, if possible, I think those should be taken together because it would be problematic, but it would create some issues if you did only the latter, not the former, or only the former, not the latter. How would you, if you went to groups, how would you then decide who becomes vice mayor? It wouldn't be anyone in the charter because it would be deleted. So I think those have to come together because they solve a hole in each other's.
I agree, but I guess I agree with that aspect of it. I guess I was going to the next step, which is the question on how vice mayor should be selected, whether it be we choose it by designee or by commission. Is that something that's considered interrelated, or would that be something separate?
Well, this board can decide, I think, whether we want to include that aspect of it as a separate question, or if we want to include it. I would probably be of the belief, just because it would get a little confusing, but I would probably believe to just in here, this is not some zoning item. You can talk to people, you can talk to your neighbors, you can talk to whoever, right? I would say, I think that we should put it in together and just insert that as one question. I don't think that the question, and I hate to diminish the importance, but I don't think the question is important enough as a, to send to the voters individually. I think it's something that is a lot of times decided by ordinance in a lot of cities. But because we have in the charter, we have to do it by charter. So I would prefer to put it together, but I'm open either way if there's concern.
Let me tell you,
Yes.
here in our city, the vice mayor it's not a big difference to be the mayor, and the vice mayor substitutes the mayor. But it's no difference when we're talking about all the cities. Money, power, here is not. Here is service, and the vice mayor and the mayor are very similar. So, if what you try to put in the table is to avoid the point that if the vice mayor is by the lot or whatever, and could be the commission, like a city, so the commission get together and say, who want the 4 commissioners, secret vote, whatever, and then they propose the vice mayor. And if you're trying to avoid the point with the coin because you think it's an old style system, you don't like it that, or you don't like it, or you think it's not the best,
It would just get deleted.
then you may put it that way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the commission elected the vice mayor, many cities are.
He says because if we go to groups, then there's no way to decide because there might be only one person elected that year.
Yeah, so there wouldn't be an opportunity for flip. I don't care about the flip one way or another.
Because
it's just
normally
the way
you
it
run
exists.
for commissioner.
Right.
The vice mayor come from the commission
For
running.
2 commission candidats, but if we go by groups, there might
Every
just
2
be.
years run 2 commissioners. And every 2 years the vice mayor change. That's the rule in our charter so far.
Right.
So has been hard now. If they change it, want to be in that way, you may propose something like that. Every 2 years, the commission, the CI, make a decision who is going to be the vice mayor the next 2 years.
Well, let's talk on that point. So I think we know the commissioner's thoughts on that. We know Scott's thoughts on that. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that? Go ahead, Rick.
So I concur. I think, from my view, I mean, right now we have great relationship between the mayor, the vice mayor, and the entire commission, and that's ideal and that's great for the city. But we don't know what the future holds and who will be in office. So I agree with what Commissioner Chavez mentioned. Right now it worked really well. That Commissioner Milian Orbis took office and she became vice mayor. But in the future, if we have, I think it would make sense for commissioners who have more experience and have been doing the job for longer to be the ones that select whoever should be vice mayor.
Right, but
by a majority of.
I guess the question becomes, do you do this election, and I think unless there's a third way that I'm not thinking of, there's only 2 ways to do it, right? Either the commission selects as a vote, perfectly fine, or the mayor appoints, perfectly fine, whoever the mayor is at the time. So between those 2, and feel free to speak your mind or just say one or the other. You don't have to give your thoughts on it, right? Between those 2, where are people leaning? Are they leaning towards the commission? As the way we work is the next commission meeting, there's an item on the agenda, everybody votes, and that whoever wins becomes vice mayor on the vote on the commission, right? Or alternatively, the mayor appoints, like they do in other cities. They do both in other cities frequently. Both are very common. So whatever we know how you 2 are thinking about it. I don't know if Maritza, if you really stated your opinion there on
I
with
think
those
it
2.
should be, my opinion, it
Yeah.
should be a majority of the commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
okay, so we're starting to get a consensus here on that.
Yeah.
And strong. That's why I know you're strongly in favor.
I am, but but you said you only see 2 ways. There is a third way.
With the election for vice mayor. Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up because that creates a whole other. But if you want to bring it up, feel free to.
Well, I mean, we could have an office of
Right.
vice mayor.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm in favor of that. I think we have such a small city that I
Right.
don't think it's
Right.
necessary.
Palmetto Bay is a city that you run
Yes.
for vice mayor, for example, right? I don't see the reason. I've never understood the actual reason why there's a set position. But
I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
If you were to give me those 3 options, how I would rank it would be commission picks, then vote directly for vice mayor, and then mayor selects.
okay. Well,
That would actually
I'm trying to
be
think
mine.
personally, just from Scott.
No, but there's a couple reasons, and I'll even say why. And it's nothing. You know that, Mayor. I nothing. I fully trust. But I think about the future. I think about the past, and things I've seen, as well as the fact that, especially since in our charter, I had noticed that the vice mayor automatically assumes I don't want necessarily a situation where the mayor sort of picking the successor and doing things. Also, there's plenty of, as I've seen in Coral Gables and other places, there can be chances where the commission and the mayor don't always see eye to eye. Whereas right now everyone's rowing the boat in one direction, and that's why we've had a lot of prosperity. I've seen it in a lot of other jurisdictions where there turns into interterritorial disputes, and I think it's a little much to have the mayor sit there and say, for instance, as we even talked about, new commissioner come on, oh, that's going to be my vice mayor because that was who I supported and everything else, and now all of a sudden you have almost a
No,
authoritative rule.
that's very fair. Does anybody, go ahead.
Would you get a vote also? With
I would,
the
yeah, I
Yeah.
vote with the commission, I get a vote as well.
Okay.
I mean, whoever's sitting, this is, again, these charters are constitutions, they last, longer than any of us are gonna sit in the commission. So,
And that's the reason for my
Yeah,
position.
you're involved
Because
already,
it's
yeah.
beyond.
no, I'm looking forward like you, I'm not, it's like the vice mayor is not getting insulted by anything, she understands that she's very suitable for the position, and we got lucky in that regard. It's all forward looking. So does anyone disagree, does anyone think otherwise? Does anyone have disagreement with that, or are we finding consensus on that? Are we finding consensus?
All great points.
So why don't we do this?
You got my vote.
Scott, you're a judge and stuff. So what?
Gonna be again.
Always are. Why don't you thoughtfully put together the motion?
That's fine. Let me ask you this though, before we put it all together, because I don't know if there's necessarily a motion yet, because we have to put together language that we'd have to approve first.
This is a preliminary, just to
Gotcha.
have something.
We're still planning on doing staggering, right? So we do
Yes.
2 and 2,
Yes.
and we're still okay with the years, because if we're touching 303, then we need to sort of touch 303 completely.
So here's my thing on this, and that's why I say if you want to bring up things in the lecture section, review it, think about it, everyone internalize it, and bring it at the next meeting. I'm not opposed to touching years. I know that the proposal I'm bringing now is the most obvious of them. The other ones take anything like if you say you want to touch years, or if you want to touch dates, or whatever it is, right? That takes a little bit more kind of thought, and I just want to get this done, and then everyone kind of internalize the sections. Everyone can kind of take home their charter, understand what section we're focusing in on, and see if there's any changes they want to make and bring a thoughtful proposal, right? But I agree with you, Scott. This charter review committee is special because it's not one of the ones we do every 4 years, is to focus on this section. I agree. If you're going to touch 303, you touch 303, and you do everything you want to do, right? But I just want to get this proposal ongoing so we can start the ballot language, and if we have other proposals, we can start taking them up at the next meeting, if that's okay with you, Scott.
You're the mayor.
you're all sworn in board members, so
Have you heard?
yes, go ahead.
The way that we're supposed to put it in the ballot is there. Eventually we have to put charter amendment, article, so and so, section, so and so, qualification to put office. And it says, shall Article 3, Section 3.02, sentences 1 and 2 be repealed and rewritten to read. So it's very difficult to merge a lot of things. We have to amend specific sections of the charter. Okay? So we have A, B, C, D, and E here. So it would not be feasible to combine unless we were very creative, and we have to go within the 75 words. In addition, the heading would be 15 words, no more. And how many times have they rejected our language? How many times has the elected department rejected our language? Many, many times.
Who decides that at the election department?
The election department,
The elections department, they have a department specialized in
they do not amend the meaning, they just amend the wording of the meaning.
But I think what Scott, I don't think Scott's saying to take different proposals all as one. He's saying, if I hear you correctly, if we have other proposals that we want to make on this section, take them as different ballot questions, but on the same subject. Just if we're gonna attack this section, just attack it, you know, all the way, is what you're saying.
For instance, so under 303, we're talking about putting commissioners into groups. But also under 303, we're talking about how the vice mayor would get
That
selected.
will be a second amendment.
So, okay, so those would be two, they need to be two. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Oh,
Let me give you a sample.
Can I, did you guys hear when you read this part? So, shall Article 3, this says 302, but say it's section 302, be repealed and rewritten to read, and then it says A, B, so you can put in there the groups, A, put in B for...
Is that an exemplar?
It's from last...
That's the
2014.
actual ballot that went out to the board.
Oh, this is from last, okay,
2014.
from 14. Okay.
But it has to fit within 75 words from...
Everybody has this?
Can we get copies of this next time?
Yeah.
This is my file, I have to give you.
Yeah, I was gonna,
Can we, Scott, can you make the motion on the first, can you
Yeah.
put together a comprehensive motion on the first proposal? Again, this is not the ballot language, this is just getting the ball rolling.
so,
Ballot language will come back to us.
so I would move that we, I guess.
I'm having you do it just because I don't want to think, so.
Okay. I would move that we go ahead with a proposal to amend 3.03 to put the 4 commission seats into at-large distinct groups to be voted on by the public instead of a
I would assume that it would be 2 groups, right?
It would be 4 groups. It would be 4 groups and the mayor. Do you have a second on that?
Second.
You have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Seeing none, motion passes. Scott, do you want to make the second one on the vice mayor?
Let me get clarification from, say, I have
this-
to write the,
I can pull it up. So what's that? Wait, that's different.
when you say 4 groups, in other words, 4 individuals that run in different places?
Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. Group 1 and 3, or Group 1 and 2, or Group 1 and 4, whatever it is, are staggered in 2 years. The other 2 years is the other 2 groups. They're at large groups, but it takes it away from everyone being on the same ballot. So
It would no longer be a biannual election from a group of candidates.
from a group of candidates, correct? It would be 2 groups. It would be 2 groups running, right? So it's 4 groups. Let's say it's Group 1 and 3, or Group 1 and 2, Group 1 and 4, Group 2 and whatever. However we want to stagger it. It's going to remain unchanged that 2 commissioners go up for election every 2 years. Same thing. The only thing is, instead of all appearing on the same ballot, you'll appear on two different. So if somebody can not have an election, somebody can have an election, both people can have elections. It doesn't, that's the only thing that changes. You need more clarification on that? Scott, do you want to do the other motion on the vice mayor part as well?
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
You were saying that you thought it should go together, as in the same question?
Yes,
Like the
I-
vice mayor, so it would be the same ballot question?
I think it should go
So
together.
then shouldn't the first motion reflect that?
I think it should.
Well, if I can, for right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, for right now, we're just getting the ball rolling, so it
The
doesn't matter.
sections,
Right,
okay.
we're not worrying on language.
That's why I'm not fighting back on it. We're
Yeah.
just getting the ball rolling,
Okay.
just getting our consensus thoughts into motions,
Okay.
so that we can get the ball rolling. Later on, go ahead, Commissioner.
I don't think this should be on the ballot, but as an ancillary thing about it, how do we determine who's on Group 1, who's on Group 2? Who's on first, who's on second?
Yeah, I mean, it almost, I'll be honest with you, it almost doesn't matter as long as the terms line up, right? So, for example, these 2 just got elected, right? Whatever group numbers you give them, because the group numbers don't matter, they're not tied to anything right now. Whatever group numbers they're given won't be up for election for 4 years, right? Your group, for example, would be up for election. So it doesn't matter which one they're slotted into, as long as the commissioners and their terms line up, right? And once that's set, it doesn't matter anymore.
And frankly, I think an easy way to handle it, though I think it's more of a legislative function.
So
than
the
it
vice
is a-
mayor gets Group 1
That's
right
okay.
now.
Is you 2 have a term that expires, I guess, 2 years technically. if this were to pass this year, there would be two, you wouldn't necessarily be slotted into a group yet. There would be, you know, let's just say it's 1 and 2. But, you know, you guys talk, you'll file in 1, you file in 2, and then
Right.
that kind of just takes care of the issue, and the next
Right.
time it would be 3 and 4.
Right. And
That way you guys don't have to worry about having to put yourselves into the at-large districts. You just sort of run into a district.
Right, we can do it that way, or we can do it legislatively.
Superstitious and you want one, and the other one is superstitious too,
Well,
and they want one.
Well, then you can
you
fight.
better lose your superstition.
I mean, you know what, I'm just playing devil's advocate
You
here.
better lose your superstition fast.
I think there should be some kind of, and it should be,
We can do it legislatively.
That's a
maybe
legislative thing.
Maybe the mayor can, okay,
We
yeah.
can do it legislatively. At that point, we can discuss on the dais on how to implement the charter amendment.
You gotta remember, if there's something to argue about, there will be an argument.
Yeah, well, hopefully, you know,
Save,
yeah.
an argument.
But we can choose to implement the charter amendment. I mean, again, it's negligible how we choose to implement that part. The number doesn't impact anything.
But because it's a charter amendment, we don't want saying as part of it, you know,
You can't make.
Commissioner
it
Blanes is going to be in District 2
Right.
going forward, you know, because then 100 years from now, it's still going to be
Right.
doing that.
He's going to put in
We don't want
writing.
legacies, but we don't want to be put in the charter.
He's going to put in black and white. He's going to put in black and white his proposal. What do you think?
Once
Right.
you get number 3,
Then we will read it,
we're okay.
and I hope we will
Got it.
understand better.
I mean, I'm also adding in there that I'm never paying property taxes again. But I'm sure you're okay with that.
Put me down for that.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Once you put in black and white, it will be more understandable.
Go ahead, Legislator.
The issue is in writing one question, the Vice Mayor, is rather difficult because the Vice Mayor's addressed section B, C, and E. So the charter question should be, charter B, C, and D be amended to read as follows. But those sections make reference to other issues as well. So I would suggest that you read the entire section because I don't think that we could do all of that in 75 words.
Yeah, we'll deal with the ballot language stuff. I just want to get the ideas, the consensus ideas out of the way. Because all that ballot language stuff, we can do the background and give it more thought and bring it back to the board. So,
And I can take a stab at language if you want.
if,
I mean,
you know, if you want to bring language, bring language. Everyone has a chance to amend language here as we're going through it. So, but Scott, could you make the motion on the vice mayor stuff? So
Sure.
we can
I would,
just get the idea and
I would motion that we move forward to put a charter review, to put on the ballot to amend 3.03 C, that the vice mayor would be selected by a vote of the commission.
This is much better than, because
With the backup of law. Well, actually, no, the commission would be fine.
the idea that the mayor select the vice mayor, that's not good.
I think it's D though.
thank you for board of conference. What's
No, it's just-
No,
can
you
we get a
know,
second?
it's correct.
I agree with you.
D is just the lot backup. C is the one that's how the vice mayor.
Can we get a second on the motion?
It's just
I
Vice Mayor
did, I
seconded.
seconded.
Oh, you seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Hearing none, ayes have it, motion passes. So, like I said, we're gonna have the opportunity to review the language, bring language, talk about it, see how we wanna go about doing it. Also have the opportunity to bring additional proposals on this section. Just to be clear though, this board was put together on the special review to look at the election section. So every 4 years we look at the whole charter. We are only in this board looking at the election section. There is other things in that section that maybe, you know, somebody wants to look at amending. Be happy to discuss it. You know, look at your charters, internalize it, and see if you want to bring anything for next meeting. Do you want to talk about the next meeting, maybe date? Try to get something kind of set and booked. What would make sense?
Different then?
We have a commission meeting on June 5th.
Okay.
I don't know if that is something that you consider.
I don't want to do one of these meetings we've done in the past where we we do it before a commission meeting, especially our commission meetings are moved up to 6 now, and I think 5 is too tight for some people. So, and we do it on a day we don't have a commission meeting. I also don't want to create a time crunch like that. In case we want to go into more depth, I don't want to be taking us out because we have a commission meeting. So, what is the following Wednesday?
June
I
12th.
have a birthday that Wednesday, so.
Oh, no, this is not next Wednesday. We're not talking about next Wednesday. We're not talking about next Wednesday.
Next one after the 5th, the 12th.
Is 12th your birthday?
No.
Oh, okay.
June 12th?
June 12th. June 12th. Does anyone have a current conflict of June 12th?
June 12th?
June 12th?
Is there-
Should we have to speed up the process because of ballot languaging? We'll have a more frequent meeting towards as we get near the deadline, right? But hopefully we'll be able to do it rather in only max 2 meetings more. Hopefully just one, maybe 2 max more. So that's the idea. June 12th, we'll put that tentatively. If for some reason can't get a quorum, as we're leading up to it, we'll make amendments. I'll amend the date, but right now tentatively we're looking at a June 12th meeting. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 6, good of the order.
Anyone for good of the order? Good of the order, anyone?
Thank all our residents for participating and helping us.
Good catch.
It's always a pain, so thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll do your lawn or something.
But we really appreciate you guys. I know you guys don't get paid or don't get a lot of recognition for sitting here and listening to charter stuff. So I think you do it out of just your love for your community and trying to make it better. So we really appreciate it. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, I know a lot of the officials have received it, but maybe haven't. But every year we have a beginning of the summer, our first responder party on my block on 61st Court. It's going to be June 8th this year. We always do a cookout. Usually the fire department comes over for the kids with the truck. We're going to have two water slides this year, or bounce houses. One for the smaller kids, one for the larger kids. So please, if you can, June 8th at I think like 10 or 11 o'clock.
They have a great
Where is it? Is there going to be a bounce
Where's
house?
61st Court?
Is there a bounce house for the older folk?
No,
All that at your house?
My
The
block.
whole block.
They actually have a permit
End up on it.
from the city to close off the street that day.
I'll go down once and then it's broken.
Everything is
It's a great event.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a great event. They do the whole street.
Yeah, we have a lot of food.
Remind me, don't forget.
Scott, can I help? Can we help you with anything you put together?
His street.
The neighbors all get together and we
I don't
do the
eat for 2
cooking
or
and
3 days before I go.
His street. I don't mind saying this on the record. His street is one of the closest streets I've ever come across. They're very neighborly. They interact a lot with each other, help each other a lot.
We should just close down 62nd Avenue one day, just do like an entire day, like karaoke.
That would be.
We'll have to get the county on that. We'll have to get the county on that.
It's Miami, Coyote.
We do have June 9th, right? Gloria, June 9th?
Yes.
June 9th, we're going to be announcing soon, we're doing a Father's Day car show, and that's going to be at Cooper Park. So that's going to be an event that's coming.
Car show.
Yeah. I don't think it's actually Father's Day, right?
No,
It's just Father's Day
the week
themed.
before.
Just Father's Day themed car show.
It's the weekend before.
That will be happening at Cooper Park. We did a Mother's Day event. We don't want to leave the fathers out. So that's a new event that we're doing this year. So, but that's just an announcement for the active residents in here. So, with that, does anyone have anything else for the order? Speak your mind now. Forever hold your peace. Next item, go ahead.
Yes, if we're saying thank you, we'll say thank you to these guys for always being here past their bedtime, I think. So,
You're right.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
motion.
Second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Can you wait for me to make a comment?
Oh, I'm saying that we should pass out the copy to the members next time.